I think this is the biggest game of the Patrick Mahomes era in the regular season. So the biggest regular season game in the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs era. And it's not a big game for Mahomes. It's a big game for the Chiefs. Because this offense, for the first time in a long time, has something to prove. They have something to prove. They have not earned this season the benefit of the doubt. Because we're not talking about Mahomes having to prove it, or Kelsey having to prove it, or Andy Reid having to prove it. It's everybody else around him. Pacheco, Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jerick McKinnon. You name it. These have been disappointing players so far this season. And in a big matchup like this, I think the Chiefs really have to show that they are able to score on playoff caliber teams. Because if they can't score, which they have not done so far this season, I don't see how you can go into the playoffs and feel strongly that Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl. Even in right now a weak and diminished AFC with Burrow out and Deshaun Watson out, along with Aaron Rodgers, so like 3 big-time quarterbacks we thought the Chiefs would have to face at some point, now all on the shelf, still. This offense doesn't have you feeling confident that they are good enough to take the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. They got to prove it. And I don't think that we can believe that this offense is going to turn it around this year until we actually see it. And that's why I think Monday night is so big. Elite opponent. Big time stage. This is your chance to silence all doubts if you're the Chiefs offense. Because they've not been good this year so far. They have not been good. And 11 weeks is enough time to say, it's time to get worried. This is an offense that's averaging 23 points per game. 13th in the NFL. They were first last year. They're 8th in total offense. They were also first last year. So even though this is now year 2 for Tyreek Hill, the first year in 2022, they were way more ready and got way more contributions from players than they're getting this year. And so the questions, I think, around Mahomes, around Kelsey, around Reid are valid. And I don't think right now that trio, those 3 alone, can carry this Chiefs offense to the Super Bowl. I don't. Just like last year, they're going to need contributions elsewhere. And they got that in the form of Juju Smith-Schuster, who had almost 1,000 yards. Got that in the form of Jerick McKinnon, who had 9 receiving touchdowns and was a big-time threat out of the backfield. They're getting none of those contributions so far this year. Rashee Rice has been a nice story. He's also just a rookie receiver. That's a lot to put on his plate of, hey, buddy, come in here, be a 1,000-yard receiver, and make some big-time catches in some big-time games to help us get to the Super Bowl. I don't think it's realistic to ask that of a rookie. Juju was that guy last year. MVS had a solid year as well last year. Took a step back so far this year. Not been as effective. Kansas City and their offense has something to prove on Monday night. And that's why I think this is not hyperbole to saying this is the most important game, regular season game. This is the most important regular season game they are playing in the Patrick Mahomes era. They got to prove it. They got to show it. And if they can't, Tuesday morning, I promise you, I guarantee you, there's going to be questions, there's going to be concerns, and there's going to be doubts. Big time doubts of how good this Kansas City offense is and if they are holding them back from making a run to the Super Bowl. Big game here. Big game for the Chiefs offense to quell doubts or provide more question marks as we do get closer and closer to the postseason. But there's no doubt about it for me. There's more pressure on the Chiefs than there is the Eagles. Specifically, there's way more pressure on this Chiefs offense to show up and show out. This is the 5th playoff team they're playing this year. They played 4 other teams right now currently holding a playoff spot. Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Vikings. In those 4 games, they're averaging just 19.5 points per game. So they're already averaging a touchdown less per game this year compared to last year. And even then, it's almost 10 points less this year compared to last year when you talk about the Chiefs playing playoff teams. That's a concern. And that's a reason why you should not give them right now the benefit of the doubt when it comes to their ability to play well in the postseason and play well enough to get this team to the Super Bowl and win it. They got to show you. Specifically, the weapons around Mahomes and Kelsey. They got to step up and show you they are good enough to win these big games. Right now, they haven't, and that's why I don't think at this very moment they can. And I don't think they will on Monday either. I think the Eagles are winning that game. Philly is going into Arrowhead and coming out victorious. And we're going to hear more questions and more concerns about this Chiefs offense after that game than we have even up to this point. Big game for Kansas City. There's a lot of pressure on them for their offense to get back to normal here and look explosive for the first time this season. Has it happened really outside of that Bears game? Which, Bears, they got to come through though. They got to step up and make some plays.